I'm the son of a third-generation farmer. I've been married 10 years to the farmer's daughter. I got 2 boys in the county 4-H. I'm a lifetime sponsor of the FFA.
The UN General Assembly meets next week, and it's already getting chaotic. The Palestinians want official recognition as an independent state, and both Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu plan to address the General Assembly over that topic. Israel says it wants the U.S. to block that move. But don't forget, Robert, exactly 1 year ago, at that very same UN podium, President Obama called for the possibility of an independent, sovereign Palestinian state. So he's caught between a rock and a hard place here. A year ago, he said maybe a year from now, which is now, we'd be looking at independent, sovereign state. But can he do that now?
There have been a lot of diplomats who've called in the United States who've called for an independent Palestinian state. The Palestinian Authority is not going to get what they want, which is out of the Security Council. The United States will veto this. But eventually, the Palestinian Authority wants to have a country named Palestine. We don't talk about Palestine because it doesn't exist. But there will be, and it will be a tension, and this is not going to get resolved in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. What needs to happen is the United States and the rest of the world has got to stop setting their entire policy in the Middle East around the Israeli-Palestinian issue.
But you just said there will be a Palestinian state, but it's not going to happen now because the U.S. will block it.
It should have happened. It should have happened when Arafat had a chance to do it, and he walked away from the table.
Well, the problem with this development is that this is seeking a unilateral declaration of a Palestinian state, rather than going through the negotiating process, which is what our policy has been a long time. Look, the Obama team now has an emergency diplomatic crisis in its lap, but it's a crisis of its own making because, as you pointed out, he opened the door to this. Obama did last year. And then for the past 2.5 years, he has thrown Israel under the bus continually, giving them beatdowns all the time, but never giving the Palestinian Authority a beatdown. Or, frankly, Hamas a beatdown.
What president has not said a Palestinian state?
Now Obama is going to have to veto this. Remember, we don't have a veto in the General Assembly, but we do in the Security Council.
Right. And if they would get this membership, it would give them access to international courts where they could then sue Israel.
You know what's amazing, though? Can I just point out? Let's say somebody woke up and turned on this show and was watching it, and you had to ask them what year it was. They wouldn't know. Because this conversation has been going on for 40 years.
And I might add that the term by United States presidents about Palestinian states has been going on for a long, long time. There's not one I can think of that has not said eventually there will be a Palestinian state. Not one.
Do you realize?
So you blame that on Obama?
Do you realize that aside from the UN support, which averages $1.4 billion directly to Palestine, the Palestinian Authority per year, we directly give $600 million every single year to various Palestinian
Have you ever been on the Gaza Strip? Have you ever seen the poverty among those children?
But I do remember. I do remember Fox.
We could spend more money on taking care of those children.
Hold on. The Fox News headline, pointing out that there were 3,000 Palestinians celebrating at the very beginning of the World Trade Center attack. As the towers were coming down, they were handing out candy in celebration. Greg, got to get in here.
I don't know. I got to say that this will never end. Like I said, if you pick up any newspaper and you say trouble in the Middle East or Israel-Palestinian problems, it never changes.
And look,
it will be here long after we're gone.
It's absolutely unacceptable that American taxpayer money goes to the PA, never mind Hamas, where they funnel a lot of this money in, when the Palestinian Authority is relentlessly promoting incitement against the Jews, violence against the Jews. And people like Itamar Marcus, the Palestinian Media Watch, they've constantly been at Hillary Clinton and members of Congress saying block American taxpayer funds from going to the PA at all.
And this newfound pro-democracy stance that this administration likes to boast, our longest ally is Israel. It is the democracy. I don't know why this administration won't stand up for it. But look, it's costing them with the Jewish vote. We were talking about it during the break.
That's just absolutely ridiculous.
They have a big political issue with the Jewish vote right now, which is big fundraising money.
Leave aside the political issue for a second. In the West Bank, the Palestinian Authority, by the Israelis' own recognition, have brought security to that area. They've made great steps in their economy. There is going to be eventually a Palestinian state. We're going to have to accept that.
And you bring it up, but we have to talk about it. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the chair of the DNC, is in a tough race in Florida 20 which is, it's South Florida, it's Miami-Dade, it's very, very heavily Jewish, and Obama and the Democrats are hemorrhaging Jewish voters.
Oh, absolutely. And as Andrea points out, we saw this in New York 9 this week. That is a district that has the heaviest concentration of Jewish voters in the country.
No.
That means if that went to the Republicans, every other district that even has a marginal Jewish vote is vulnerable.
Well, he needs Florida. He needs Florida to win. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz isn't just a congresswoman. She's one of their political members of leadership.
How does she square this, Bob? She has to side on Barack Obama.
It's pretty simple. For 8 years, the Bush administration abandoned the Middle East, did nothing about it, and left that trip to and Obama. Look, there is an operating Palestinian Authority with security and a growing economy in the West Bank, and it is working. And the Israelis accept it's working. Gaza is an outrage all the way around. It's an outrage because Hamas is there, and it's outrage because little children are dying there every day, and we ought to send them money to take care of those kids.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Coming up, Greg is fired up over yet another egregious example of big government butting in. That's ahead on the 5. We'll be right back.
You couldn't get angry quick enough.
Says you love me, yes, you done, mama. 'Cause you're my man.